Howdy, you delicious people. I'm here to review Send Help. Firstly, I have to say right out of the gate, for those of you, because I want to just kind of protect some people, for those of you who have gone on and dealt with any workplace harassment thing going on, more than likely this movie may not specifically be for you. Because I just want to go on and try to prevent anybody from any like mental harm of of any kind. Just kind of going through this movie and just kind of be reminded of things of the past or anything like that. So I just wanted to protect anybody right away. So now that I've said that, my opinion of this movie specifically, I was so fascinated by the chess moves that this movie becomes. Just the back and forth, the way that this all gets played out. I am like, wow, by the end of this piece. It's been a while since I've seen a movie this good. And if you haven't seen it, kind of feel you need to. There might be some gender stuff also that might uh, hurt some people, but maybe also some people could probably say that this movie is predictable. Maybe people can go on and say that they've probably seen a movie like this, and I'll present stuff that is to be similar to this film also. But Send Help, wow, this film, I really did enjoy it. And this is going to be a movie that I feel is going to have to be like, who's going to top this kind of thing. That's how good it was. So I would have gone on and seen a Timothy Olyphant, Chris Hemsworth movie called Perfect Getaway. And I have to compare that movie to this. I would also say there's an Amanda Bynes movie called Loved Wrecked, and that has two people kind of stuck on the island. And then eventually they go on to find, the further and further they go into the island, that there's this whole town that they didn't realize was there. And then like, oh, well, I guess we're kind of safe now because we're just in this town. And that is kind of similar to this because of the friction going on between the two people and how it's kind of a boy-girl thing going on. I would probably throw Blue Lagoon, but that's really reaching at that point because we have two kids that are just kind of stuck on an island for a very long time. They go through the whole Tarzan thing, and there isn't much conflict between Brooke Shields' character and the other guy, the kind of blonde-haired boy or whatever. So, like, I'm kind of reaching when I say Blue Lagoon. So let's go on and let's set this movie up. I'm gonna kind of give you the cliff notes of this film, and then and kind of tee it up, and just kind of get to like a just drop off point where I'm like, okay, I've kind of mentioned this and this and this, and then I'll just kind of stop it at there to eventually force you to like, hey, you need to see this second half. So let's build this movie Cliff Note style. So Send Help starts off with a character named Linda that we have to build here. Linda is kind of awkward with other coworkers, and Linda is to go on and be the person that is just not getting the credit she deserves. There's other people that are kind of taking stuff from her and like saying that it's theirs, and so Linda is realizing that she's never going to go on and get anywhere in this job, that maybe she's very tempted to just quit or leave, or realize that more than likely she is just going to consistently get dressed down or humiliated or harassed, possibly. Um, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the exact levels of exact harassment here, but it gets really bad for this story. So we make our way into having Linda go home, and we start to look through her place and realize that all that she has with her is just this bird and a whole huge stack of books and a show called Survivor. If you guys do not know, the trailer is to tell us that Linda is going to get dropped off into a seemingly deserted island to try and survive. And we realize that Linda is the perfect person for this situation. She is going to end up be crushing it into this island. She's going to be the Terminator to this island. And if anything, for Linda, that is to go on and be like, so, oh, thank God she's here, but then also, it's kind of scary. Especially when no one else is to have gone on and done anywhere near that kind of legwork. Because they are just not strategically strong enough. Because they're just not. Like, we have so many people that are working in Linda's environment that are just kind of these rich people and and feasibly, like, we just don't know how really strong they are until we meet eventually a character named Bradley also within this film. We find that Bradley is to, be Linda's boss and is to be kind of throwing his dick around, let's say that. Like, this guy is like, well, hey, like, I'm your boss, so you do what I say, because I'm the guy with the money. And that's fine. And then eventually when Bradley goes on and goes into the island, he immediately still thinks that he is to still be Linda's boss. And he still thinks that he can be the person that can boss her around, even though he's laying there like a sack of potatoes and he cannot do dick. But he still thinks, hey, I have a mouth. I can just say to this woman all these things that she should be doing, even though she's already been doing well more than enough. And keeping this guy alive while he's been taking a good old nap. So, but eventually Bradley goes on and starts to reveal more and more about himself. He reveals his upbringings. He reveals his just thoughts about Linda the further and further we go along in this story. And eventually, when it comes further and further into the film, we kind of wonder for Bradley if it was also too little, too late for Bradley. And we eventually get to our third act, which eventually starts to see people die and being haunted by things and starting to see our characters start to shift and start to get to a point where they ask the question, maybe we shouldn't go on and leave this island. Maybe we're fine here. I love you. Yeah, I love you too. Yeah, how about we just stay here and just live the rest of our days here? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be fine? And yeah, so with that said, I think there is also like a tagline that I kind of wanted to go with this movie before we head into full on breakdown and spoilers. And for those of you that have actually seen this movie, then you know maybe where how much more gonna go, and then you're like, yeah, we know this movie, yeah, we've heard of it, yeah. So uh, for the movie, I feel like who is to be the most forgivable. I feel is probably the tagline. Who can be the most forgiven? Like, which side are you taking in this film? Is kind of for Send Help. Honestly, like what I was just thinking about while I was watching this film and breaking it all down is is like where were you thinking? What was your just thought process for this specific film? And to see that maybe some people may not have finished this movie because maybe they were just so upset or something. Maybe they hated this movie. That's okay too. Um, like I wasn't exactly sure um, how I felt about it, but I was just like, man, this has just been something so more interesting than a lot of other just go through the motions kind of reviews of certain new releases and other kind of projects. So I was so like, man, like this movie went by like nothing. Like it was nothing. But it didn't feel at all like a nothing film. So I like this movie. Check it out. It's great. I liked it. Uh, how can you go on and find this movie if you're not going into the theater right now to check it out as quickly as you can? Run to the theater, not walk, to see this film if you can. And then also, don't run because I don't want to worry that anybody's going to trip and fall and hurt themselves. I'm just joking here. You're going to drive to the theater, right? So unless maybe you like bike, Uber, do something. So uh, marathon run, whatever you're going to do. However is your means of travel. But also, check out an app instead of going into a theater if that's you. If you just want to watch this on your own home, it's lesser quality, but regardless, it's the film. So you can check out this movie if you are to be a Google Play Store phone user, mobile device haver, and check out an app I believe that is still on the store. If not, you could probably Google search this and hope to download it. There's an app called Clede Plus, KLEDE Plus. You should be able to go on and find that app and hopefully be able to download it and watch this movie for absolutely free. It's a lesser quality because right now it's like the cam version instead of the theatrical whatever at home $20 thingy. So it's like a lesser quality, but regardless, it's on the app right now. You can check it out there. Beyond that, there are also apps that are either to have this movie or are going to have this film, so I'll recommend those also. There is another app on the Google Play Store called MovieBox 3. I don't think the title will say 3, but the logo will say 3 on it. So just search the word MovieBox and that should come up. I would say download that one. That one should have this movie on there. The last one is kind of a more inconvenient thing, so that's why I kind of don't bring it up as often now. You can go onto a Google search and download this through that app through Google. You can go into Google and you just have to find a logo of an app that has a green M on it. Download that. It's Moopzy, Moopzzi. And if you download that app, you'll be able to see a lot of other things for absolutely free. But I'll mention those two ones because I think those are the more, more viable options rather than the third one. So, with that said, let's get into the full breakdown of Send Help. I'll go on through my normal way of doing reviews. For this specific movie, there was an exact way to break down all like the lines word for word. So I'm just kind of going based on like dialogue, what I can remember, and so that's why I'm trying to just break this way of movie down and like the quickest way possible to just get this all out. As well as also needing to remember so many people that are in this movie, even though most of the time it's just two whole people for most of it. I'm just kind of remembering some of the side characters in my brain because I just briefly looked at the cast list and just kind of came on here. So it's just kind of going off of just photo memory uh, that I have kind of the cast list kind of just in my brain. So, and plus I'll pause this here and I'll get to that. So I'll just kind of relook it up. So, with that said, let's pause here. I'll get into the whole scene for scene, blow for blow, regardless of a lot of people may going on and kind of just checking out after this point, which is perfectly fine because in time I will still go on and break down these movies because I just enjoy that aspect of just talking about these films in that way. And also for those of you that have probably seen this movie and kind of want me in more detail, but it could be very long-winded, I apologize. But anyways, so that said, it's about that time yet again to of course go into spoiler time. Spoiler time, spoiler time. It's about that time to spoil this movie. Let me know in the comments below if you are to be a person who is to enjoy survival films, because maybe there might have been some movie that I had missed that is quite similar to Send to Help as far as a survival movie, because I like those. Uh, Let me know in the comments below. Oh, maybe I didn't mention Castaway. Like, that was to be just an individual person just kind of lost on an island, and really there were moments where I was like, "Oh, that's like the I have made fire moment," but there really like was really a lot of tough comparisons for Castaway to this. Well, let's say Tom Hanks' character was on a business airplane, so that does match, and these characters are on a island for quite a bit of time, but not as like many years as Tom Hanks' character was. And they didn't quite, I think, got to the point. Well, maybe they got to a point of like the Tom Hanks Wilson kind of relationship when you really kind of break down these two characters and got away the way they went. But so, with that said, let's pause here. Let's get out my cast list or whoever insists to help me break this whole movie down. And let's get on with that. All right, everybody. So in the starting of this movie, like, is it just me, or when you see a film that has cubicles, you're almost brought back to like Office Space? It's weird. Like I was gonna go on through like Linda kind of doing her kind of opening here where she goes on and she comes in the office, gets a lunchbox and puts that away and kind of gets herself ready and starts eating this sandwich, this tuna sandwich, and goes on and sits at her desk and she's listening to music, just kind of just popping out, and all of a sudden Donovan comes in and is asking for this report. And I'm like, okay, this guy looks just like the guy from Office Space. It's like, can you work on Saturday? Like, straight up, like, I was just like, and also he's asking for this report. I'm like, it's not a TPS report. But immediately that's what I was just popping into my brain when I started off this film. So Donovan is asking Linda about this report, and Donovan goes on to take the report from her and just starts asking a little bit of questions and then walks off, and she thinks that she's going to join him, and he's like, what are you doing? And Linda's like, well, like, I should go with you, like, I did that report, like, if anybody has questions, like, I should be the person to kind of chime in and answer because I actually did the report and you're just taking it from me. And Donovan is like, well, like, this is actually a kind of more like kind of exclusive, a little bit more private meeting, and they kind of want less people in there. So I'm just going to take this report from you. But hey, there's going to be a post-it note right on here that says your name, so you're going to get credit for that. Yeah, like they'll give us about one post-it note that has some random name of person on it. It doesn't matter. Names don't matter, it's faces. So, and then the guy goes on and takes the post-it note and crumples it up anyways and tosses it in the trash. And then says, "Oh yeah, I've been working all night on this report. Yeah, I've been sweating. Oh yeah, ooh yeah, what a horrible night I had." He didn't do a lick of anything. He didn't do dick. So, and Linda goes on and spots Donovan doing the exact thing, and it's like, oh man, he's gonna steal my credit. But anyways, we have Linda that goes on to start chiming on of like, well, hey, yeah, I guess it's a little hard uh, for anybody out here to kind of get promoted in the elevator of success or some goofy thing like that. And it's some kind of weird analogy or some weird goofy thing. And there's to be a coworker that's like, what are you talking about? And like the further she goes on and explains it, the further it kind of kills whatever she was saying anyways. So all of a sudden this one coworker comes in and starts chiming away about them doing karaoke and them having like a get together. And Linda starts chiming in. It's like, oh yeah, like karaoke. Like, hey, do you have a go-to song? I have a go-to song. It's a song by Blondie. Ooh yeah. So nobody knows the song. Of course they don't. Nobody even probably knows who Blondie is. So they're just like, oh yeah, well, like we weren't exactly going to invite you, but you're kind of just in the conversation anyways. Because I don't think that Linda gets invited to anything, sadly enough. So Linda walks off, and here's where she spots Donovan doing that thing, throwing the post-it. So, and she walks off, and we see executive offices. So, kind of that's where Donovan is. So, cut to Linda. She's at her place, and she's going on and having this whole conversation while she's making the sandwich, talking to this bird. I'm like, oh, Linda. Just Linda. So, and we start to see all these books around her. We see this Survival 101. We see Lots and Knots. We also see pictures of her at the Grand Canyon. Like, there's just a lot of details and Easter egg things to kind of look around, like, ah. So, Linda has this big, huge knife cutting this bread. So, Linda goes on to make her way to her couch because she's going to go on and watch none other than Survivor, because of course she is. I almost said Survival, my bad. It's Survivor. And again, we continue to see a lot more books. Easter eggingly, 100 Ways to Be Alone. Wow, that's awful. No, wait, 100 or 1001 Ways to Be Alone. Oh my god. Sailing Women and the voyages. How to Talk to Your Bird. Women Adventures of the 20th Century. Survival Studies. Off the Grid. So, yeah. So, and then also a picture of her kind of being at Everest or somewhere along those lines. Also, the music is by Danny Elfman. That's nice. Very well-known composer. So Linda's going on and sharing some bread with her bird, and she's sharing it as she's like, she's having a nibble on one side and the bird is having a nibble on the other side. So it's like, ah, It's like they're kissing, but with bread. So, yeah, I'm being cheesy here. So, Linda pops on the telly, sees Survivor, and she knows the beginning of it verbatim. I was like, wow, Linda. So, impressed me even more. Just freaking, just like, wow. Like, and I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm impressed. So, we now go back to Linda's job. So we find out that Bradley is making his way into the office. He's like, "Yeah, I'm the new head boss because my dad had just passed away." Come to find out, Bradley will have some kind of feelings about his parents, and they have unfortunately treated him poorly. So I guess for family, not much loss there. But if anything, he's to be the big swinging dick, metaphorically here. So Bradley starts to make his way through the cubicles, and Linda had gone on to tell her bird that she has had some history with Bradley, that they had been at a kind of Christmas get together, and they had talked briefly, who knows how long. So, if anything, I think they should have had like a flashback or a cut to that of what really happened. That would have been interesting, but they never went there, or they never talked about it. So, Linda is like, okay, this is my time to shine. So she's like cleaning herself off, but she still has a little piece of tuna on her cheek or on her kind of side here. So Linda goes on to meet up with Bradley and gives her condolences of his of course dead daddy. Bradley is just going on and looking right at Linda, but only looking at her little tuna on the little bottom of the lip there. He's just zoomed in on that. Nothing else will go on, and like he's seeing her lips, but it's like it's Charlie Brown and trumpet things going on here. But eventually, Bradley kind of locks it back in, and it's to kind of to have seemed like he was listening to her, but he was just so distracted. So Bradley and Linda kind of have this moment. They just talk about one another's shoes, and Linda talks about how her shoes can carry a quite a big load. That was such a weird kind of like thing to just talk about, that her shoes can carry a load. Uh, that was some kind of like sexual thing going, but like I just kind of let it go. So, and then Linda looks at Bradley's shoes, his slip-on shoes, and kind of pings on his shoes. And I'm like, yeah, he has some slip-ons and he's rich, so like, who cares what his shoes are? Uh, but I guess that's just some banter between them, as well as also Linda later tries to give Bradley some other kind of shoes, and he's just like, "No, I hate those shoes. Ah, they smell. No, I'm not going to take them." So pushing on here. So Bradley now goes on and talks to Franklin. You probably know Franklin from the those, I think those like State Farm commercials, but I know him from Major League. The Major League movie. But that's just me. So as well as also like he was kind of like Wired, or what, he was on some other kind of shows also. Anyways, so Bradley is talking to Franklin here, and they're going on and they're kind of back and forthing about who should be Bradley's second here. And eventually Linda's name comes up. And Bradley's looking at Linda, and it's like, well, yeah, like like, oh, the tuna girl, she smells. And then all of a sudden he notices there's something left over on his hand, and he thrusts his hand out like, do you see this? Look at this. And it's a piece of tuna that just landed on his hand. And Bradley forces Franklin to take a big old whiff of what it is, and it's tuna. So Bradley just goes on and it's to dress that woman down just because of that. And says, like, well, hey, we're definitely not going to go on and promote her. If anything, we're just going to figure out a way to kind of quietly get rid of her and put her in some other office section where we don't see her anymore. Because obviously people probably just don't like her. Again, just dressing her down. So the next thing we see is Donovan and Bradley in their office just laughing, having a good time off in the distance. And Linda goes on and she turns to one of her coworkers and is to just kind of be curious if they're talking about this certain job, and it seems that they're kind of laughing, and so really just Linda is kind of curious here, and her coworker goes on and tells Linda, it's like, well, yeah, he just went on and he just got this this position, and I'm just going on like Facebook or social medias right now to let everybody know that he was to go on and get this position. And so Linda doesn't even get a chance to like interview. She like I would go on in some aspects of my job or my former job, and I kind of knew that I probably wasn't going to get certain positions, but I just wanted to apply for kind of just certain things and hoping that I could kind of advance in my career. Plus also like I had just so much experience in retail overall that I thought like, oh, like, well, like I've had so much experience in these fields, but like they're just not probably going to see me that way. They're just going to see me as a guy that's in the back room, and that's all they'll care about. And that's what ended up happening. A lot of times I would go on and find stuff that I would have like filled out resumes for. They didn't even bother to interview me. Eventually I would go on and find out later, oh yeah, this person ended up getting that job. And I'm like, oh, you guys never interviewed me for any of this position or that position or that. And they're like, oh, you filled out a resume for, yeah, I did. Oh yeah, well, yeah, we just didn't interview you for that. I'm like, okay, well, so that's when I just started to like just stop filling out resumes for things because I knew I wasn't going anywhere, um, and that was fine. Like I just kind of settled with that. So, because sometimes like it's kind of what certain wrestlers say. It's like, hey, don't be too good at what you do because eventually, if you're too good, you're not going to go anywhere else. Um, and that's kind of the case. But also, there was so many limited people in my position that, like, yeah, I wasn't going to go anywhere. So eventually, the only way I could go anywhere was go somewhere else. So that ended up happening. That have to happen quite a bit because I wasn't advancing. I wasn't going anywhere. If anything, like paychecks were just kind of getting worse. So it is what it is. Pushing on. God, I don't like bringing that up because like just whip out the violins. Like because also like I don't like to bring it up because it just like uh no one likes to hear that. No one cares. But also it's just kind of like it's kind of me reliving it. But if anything, it's just kind of I'm just trying to kind of share the shoes of certain characters. Let's move on here before I put my foot in my mouth even more. So we have Linda immediately storm into the Bradley's office, and Bradley, it's almost close to seeing that he's like hitting on this girl and saying it's like, well, hey, what are you willing to do to prove to me that you're good enough for this job? And again, that kind of just seems, it kind of has that kind of feeling of like, ooh, wow, yeah, of like that seems kind of a little bit um, the wrong thing to probably say, because who knows how people are going to take that. So Linda makes it into the office and immediately just kind of stops this interview. This applicant leaves, and Linda sits down and goes on to talk to Bradley about, hey, I've been here for X number of years. Donovan has been here for X number of weeks or months. Like, how is it that I'm not going on? And how am I not advancing here? Like, we would have had Franklin that had gone on to say, it's like, hey, like, this girl we've relied so much on. Like, she's our go to person that is to be, like, every time, like, the key part of this job. So if she goes somewhere else, she'll be the key part of somewhere else's job. So hopefully she was to have gone on and done that if this plane crash had not happened. Because eventually, yeah, she was getting humiliated and harassed. So yeah, I would freaking I'm bouncing. Because she filled out all that stuff just so quickly to eventually just be like, and nope. So, but I'll get to that here shortly. So Linda goes into this meeting with Bradley, and he goes on to basically say that Linda isn't really a people person, that really he is to go on and just look at her as a numbers girl, and there's nothing more beyond that, because he doesn't even know what her position really is. He didn't look it up. He couldn't have been bothered, because eventually when Bradley goes in to the whole being stuck on the island thing, he has no clue that Linda is a strategist, and it goes into her actual title of job. You know, the one that has had her been there for so long and been so superior to anybody, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because Bradley will just pick whoever. So Bradley goes on and is to eventually just continue to dress Linda down, talking about how she smells, talking about there's something in her teeth, and eventually also while he's having this meeting, he all of a sudden just starts playing golf while talking to her, which immediately says, yeah, I don't really give a fuck about you. I'm just going to go on and just start hitting these balls because that's all I give a crap about. I don't care about this conversation anymore. I'm not going to pay any attention to it, but figure out a way to just dress you down and to try to basically give you a thing to kind of dangle in front of you to just be like, oh, but if you just go on and if you just prove yourself like you running the office and kind of confronting me here, if you just go into the next job and just really just crank another home run, maybe I'll look differently about you. Maybe, no, you won't. It'll just be like, oh, well, thank God she again saved our ass again, but it's going to go nowhere. And if anything, she's going to take this this time to actually do her job while others are to not do theirs, because they're seeing it as a vacation and not really a work trip. So pushing on. So Zuri comes in here, and we end up finding out that Zuri is to be Bradley's fiance. Thrusts the ring into Linda's face, like, "Hey, yeah, we're engaged. All right." So Linda looks at the ring, and it's like, "Okay, all right." So she walks away, and again, Bradley is to be more focused on Zuri than she's about Linda. It's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of just dressed her down, and like, let's kick her out of here, so I can focus on more important things like this woman that's of course, in front of me. That's gonna get more of my attention." So Linda goes on right after this meeting, after she's been dressed down and humiliated, and like, I get her emotions. Emotions run high here. Linda goes on to her cubicle, gets her stuff, and walks out of the building. And she's continuously telling herself to not cry. And she goes into a car, looks at herself, and yeah, tears fall then. So we see Linda, and she's at the airport hangar. She's waving her hand. "Hey guys, yeah, I'm the awkward one. Look at me. You hate me. Please tell me how much you hate me right now, but you're oh god, her. Yeah. Every one of these guys are like, "Oh, her again. Oh god, we have to spend time with her. Oh no, our fun time is just going to be uh just ruined by this stick in the mud. Buzz Killington. No. Uh, so we immediately have Bradley that is going on and kind of calling his coworkers, because this is a business expense. "Hey, pussies," and "Hey, this," and "Hey, get in there, you this and that." Like, this is a business. This is a business thing, and but I guess it's all about just busting chops, I guess. So I think Donovan tells Linda briefly that it's like, "Well, hey, this is kind of a thing to have fun, right? This is this we can't have fun here." And not as a question, just be like, "Hey, Linda, kind of let loose and kind of have a little fun." So Linda is to want to go into the plane and to try to figure out how she can go on, and like strategically figure out how to best fit their following client, their next case, their next thing. And she immediately tells all the guys that it's like, "Hey, I figured something out." Like, all right. And Bradley could not give a care in the world as they shuffle off into the plane. So Linda goes on, and she has her headphones in, and she's typing away uh this whole letter here, all while the guys are going on, and they're having a bit of fun. Donovan ends up finding this laptop thing that he wants to show Bradley. And Bradley is like, "Well, come over here with it. Like, I'm not going to go over there. Like, I'm your boss. Like, I'm not going to go a foot neck. No. Like, I'm your boss. Come on. Come on, bring the laptop." So Bradley brings the laptop, shuffles it next to Bradley, and so they put on this video. We come to find out that somehow Donovan had found Linda's audition tape for Survivor. I don't know how he got it, but somehow he did. So Linda goes on and she does this audition tape, which she tries her best to put this thing together. Like, and I was impressed by her just editing skill, her just way about trying to do this video. I was actually impressed compared to the stuff that I do. Again, impressed. So Linda starts off this video as she's outside and like almost kind of in the sky, and so she's like, I want to be on Survivor, and then they cut away, and then she's like on the very top of this playground, and like kids are on these slides and everything like that, and it gets laughs out of the guys like, oh, she's on a playground, whatever. At least she's active, at least she's outside. So Linda goes on and she lays down, and she's to have this book in front of her as she's laying down. It's like, yeah, I read books, and the book that she's reading is Survival 101. And I guess they're probably laughing at maybe the camera angle or whatever, I don't know. They're just laughing at anything at this point. Linda goes on to hug a tree, and she mentions how she loves nature. Again, further laughter. And these guys laughing as hard as they can to have Linda try to draw attention to them. Linda goes on to show how she can make a fire, how she is to have taken some combat. Combat is loose here. I would say maybe boxing training. I have no idea. She just punches a guy's glove a couple times, and the guy turns like, yeah, she's really good at this. I guess it really comes off that she has good combat skills, but like, I'm not really exactly sure throughout this entire movie exactly how really like she kind of did stand her own pretty good. So more and more laughter comes, and finally Linda is to finally notice that the guys are all laughing, and eventually she realizes that they're laughing at her. They're laughing at her audition tape as she realizes all what's going on. So now that she is close to finishing this document, there's a chance for her to save it or not save it. And she's like, don't save it. Fuck those guys. So as they continue to watch the video, so all of a sudden there's to be a put on your seat belt sign, and there's a little bit of turbulence, and there's to be a stewardess that comes out and says, hey, like, we're kind of reaching some turbulence, some trouble here, everybody get into your seats. And Bradley goes on and tells the guys, hey, yeah, get in your seats if you're pussies. Ha! Like, yeah. Like, so basically, like, hazing them, hey, don't get in your seats because nothing's gonna happen, right? So shortly after Bradley goes on and says that, immediately this plane, planes, trains, and automobiles, this plane has some massive dives and some massive just ups and downs. So now we're seeing Donovan, and we're seeing the, I think the other guy is to be possibly Chase here. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but I have no idea who this guy really is. Plus, also, I didn't look that deep into the cast list, because at a certain point here, surely it's not going to matter all that much. So, Donovan, and let's just say Chase, to hope that this is the that actual guy, are really tumbling through the plane, and I mean really tumbling. Donovan ends up getting like smacked back in front of the plane, right before the pilot's door. He's getting smacked that far. So all of a sudden in this plane, like just the side of the plane, like right by the door, all of a sudden bursts open, and we're starting to realize that people are starting to just get sucked out. I have no understanding of why exactly this is happening, but it is. And quite often happens within these planes movies, that all of a sudden just a part of the plane just breaks off for some reason and just gets shucked outside of it. And then everybody just starts to just be like, oh, I gotta grab for whatever thing so that way I can go on and just save myself instead of going flying out of the plane because I just didn't bother to have gone on and put my seatbelt on, or I'm just gonna get sucked out of the plane anyways, even because I'm just the seat right next to the sucked up part of the plane, because that happens a lot. So Donovan goes on and grabs the only thing that he can grab to save himself, and that is Linda's leg. I'm sorry, if I'm Linda, I'm like, you, Donovan, you're going to take my job. But, like, Linda does not go on and really want to try and kill Donovan here. Linda goes on and tries to reach out for her hand so she can try and save Donovan. And what does Donovan do in return? Oh my god, Donovan. So Linda goes and reaches her hand out for Donovan to try and help him. And Donovan reaches out to Linda's chair and then tells Linda, give me your seat. Get out of your seat so I can get in it. So you can just be like, just flipping and flopping around and probably get sucked out of this plane. But I guess Donovan thinks that he's more valuable than she is, just because maybe of his position, but also just because he thinks that he can just tell her what to do and she'll agree to this, which she obviously won't. Because what insane person would agree to this? So, shortly after that, we start to see that the other guy, who is Chase, I believe, is to hang on to Bradley's seat for dear life. And Bradley is not going on and helping Chase whatsoever. Bradley is even going on further to like, hey man, like, chase me, go on and hurt my chances of survival. So I'm going to put on my life jacket thing, and I'm even going to like kind of thrust him away so it lessens the chance where I could get injured by Chase or something could happen because of Chase being on my chair. So Chase gets the freaking pushback. So Chase now grabs on to Donovan's legs. So let me set this up here. So Linda has now grabbed onto Donovan. And now Chase is on Donovan's leg. So there's now even more weight with all these people still getting sucked out of this plane. And now what is Linda to do? Because she can't exactly keep holding on to two men simultaneously because of the weight of these two men. Regardless of strength, regardless of maybe she has that that one wild moment where the mom lifts the car up so the kid could kind of be safe and whatever, and like ridiculous feats of strength and what have you. Yeah. Linda is just trying to hold on to dear life here because of how heavy, honestly, these guys are and how they're getting sucked out of the plane. So, here's the crazy thing. So, Chase is going on and he is holding on to Donovan, but he's biting on his leg and he's doing all these like crazy things, and I don't get why. Because I'm like, hey man, like, Donovan probably is kind of like trying to kick him off or trying to do something to get him off. But Chase is responsive, like biting him. Like, what does that solve? If anything, like Chase should be kind of like monkey climbing over Donovan to get to Linda's chair to try and hang on for dear life. But he's not doing that. He's just hanging on to Donovan and just weighing them down. So finally, Linda is taking an opportunity to just save her effing self at this point. She finds all this silverware that is flying near her, and so she grabs a fork and she jabs this fork into Donovan, which releases Donovan to have both Donovan and Chase to go flying outside the plane, and their ties end up getting hooked into the plane, and you just see Donovan just slapping off to the side of the plane, choking to death, and Linda just takes the window and just pushes it down because she's like, hey, it was either him or me. And I may still die when this plane crashes. So that death I could be fine with. That death, I'm like, no, Linda was just trying to save herself. And there was no time to act. There was no time to think that, like, this isn't the Titanic thing where both boy and girl could have fit on the stupid thing by the end of the third act of Titanic, and Leonardo DiCaprio may not have froze to death. No, we're not going into that. So the plane crashes into the water, and it almost is to make it seem like Linda is going to be the only survivor here. But we realize that that's not going to be true. Wouldn't it be interesting, though, if we did realize that Linda was the only survivor and Bradley was just imaginary? Wouldn't that be interesting? That would kind of be like, at one point on Smallville, Lex Luthor goes on and he gets stuck on an island and he just imagines that there's some other guy with him and he just goes crazy. And eventually, when he makes his way back to Smallville, they still think that he's kind of a little crazy from his time being stuck on the island. But anyways, let's push back here. So Linda goes on to the plane going underwater, or Linda's on the plane going underwater, and so she realizes that she has to take some time to take a breath because water is coming in. So Linda takes a breath, frees herself from her seat, gets out of the plane, and immediately is to be presented by one of the dead people's faces. And she's like, oh my god. So Linda freaks out and, as quickly as humanly possible, starts to swim on to get a breath. And then all of a sudden we see her on shore. I'm like, well, yeah, she probably swam for hours and she got exhausted. She got tired. Also, with the things that had led up to her also even swimming and whatever. Yeah, probably close to just heart attack almost levels of stress here. So I'm assuming. I have no idea. I don't have that kind of information really. I'm just kind of thinking here of my feet. Anyways, so Linda goes on and just starts making her way through this island, just starts walking, and goes on to find Bradley. And as soon as Linda kind of thrusts Bradley aside, she's like, oh, you're still alive. Hey, maybe you'll get that promotion after all, Linda. Well, Bradley is still not going to like you, so, I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry. It's going to have to take a really long time for Bradley to maybe like you. So, Linda goes on to push Bradley so that she can look at him. And then she notices a cut on his leg. She pulls it up, and I believe his leg is broken. I'm not sure about the rest of his body because it takes a very long time for Bradley to bounce back. And also, when eventually he does try to get up at one point, like he really can't get up because like he just kind of writhes in pain. So I'm assuming that either his back really had a problem from just sleeping on the sand, or also just he could not move because of just the shearing pain in his leg. I have no idea. I'm not quite exactly sure what's what here. Uh, I've had pains in legs and backs and hips and all kinds of things, but yeah, if it was to be more in the back or the hip, yeah, it's very hard to get out of anywhere. Um, for quite a bit of days. I've recently had that experience and it sucks. Um, but it seems that I'm seemingly fine now. So so that's why I assumed it might have been the back. So the backhoe. So cut to Linda. She's going on and immediately trying to thrust rocks together so she can make a rock that can turn into a knife of sorts. So Linda goes on and starts taking leaves and starts cutting them because she's going to try to make like a funnel in the ground that can go into cups so that way she can get water. She cuts these coconuts, and I'm sure she did not actually drink the coconuts because the coconuts are actually a natural laxative. So she probably tried to, as best she could, get all the coconut out of the coconut juices out of the coconut so that way she doesn't shit herself, and just put the the coconuts under in the ground to just force a funnel so that way these coconut glasses could get filled until they could figure out how to make other different kinds of cups that are longer, that are bigger, and figure that shit out. So now, after some time has passed, Linda is to figure out how also to make a shadier spot with this tree to kind of facet this like little bit of a shelter of a shady spot so that way Bradley can be under it so that way when he does wake up he will not be just writhing in pain from like a severe like X degree number of burn because of just basically tanning too much from being outside for too long. So Linda facets a shelter fairly quickly to go over Bradley, and then also gives him a little padding thing for him to just kind of rest on. So Linda goes on and makes this funnel for these glasses, for these coconut glasses, and then all of a sudden we have at night where the rain falls. Luckily, the rain is there, so that way Linda can get some cups, so that way she can start getting some drinks in her. Because yeah, I would not rely on salt water because salt water will eventually make you sick. If anything, you should just use salt water as a way to just kind of brush your teeth, but that's about it, supposedly. There is kind of a way that you could figure out how to make a filter of the salt water, but that's just you would really need some very specific items, and if you really know that backwards and forward, yeah, like you would have to be lucky to remember that shit. So yeah, I would just rely on the hoping that there's going to be rain or there's going to be a water fountain like what is to be within this movie here, to just hope that you're going to find some healthy water that's not going to give you like dysentery or hurt you really bad health wise. So because there's a fear of that. So Linda starts getting the water and then tries to give it to Bradley as Bradley has finally woken up here. She gives him the water and he like kind of half drinks it and half just kind of like half has it fall out of his mouth. So Linda is going on and doing so much stuff. She's getting the water, and eventually she's even trying to start a fire. And yeah, that fire thing, if you had gone on to see Castaway, man, was that a hard thing. As well as also, like Tom Hanks probably didn't really easily know how to make a fire. This girl, she knows all kinds of ways to make fires. Multiple ways. It seems like three or a number of different ways to make fire. So Linda goes on to almost kind of do the Castaway of making a fire. It's very similar. So she rubs these sticks together and then eventually starts to make this fire. And then so she already had this kind of fire kind of pit set up. So it started to go. Linda is to go on and be so happy that she had made the fire. And eventually she starts to have, I think, what looks like a fish. It almost is to be a fish or an iguana. I want to say a fish because that's what it seems to look like uh, from this picture. But I want to say it's probably maybe an iguana also. Doesn't matter. Either way. So Linda makes this food, and as Bradley is to now be awake, you would honestly think that since Bradley is so rich, that Bradley probably has gone on and seen, or probably has tasted so many rare or weird forms of food that anything would probably not go on and displease him as probably food. Because, like, I would think with probably rich people that they would probably eat foods that, like, I would never think would be stuff to eat. Uh, just because of just the money they have, I would assume, but what do I know? So Bradley goes on and he takes this food and he's like, oh, and he just Linda just forces it into his mouth and forces him to eat it because he needs to get his strength up, and that's the only food they have. At some point, they'll start to get to a better quality of meal, I guess, for Deserted Island. But let's push on here. So Linda goes on to find this item and she's so happy about it. But what she calls, I have no idea what she says of what it is. Uh, and she was to even try to figure out what the word of it is. But it looked like some kind of like it looked like some kind of I want to say it's like a it looks like a coconut, but it's some kind of different kind of like coconut like thing. It's some kind of nut of some kind. It's some kind of I have no idea. So I'll just save it at that. So she walks off with this thing, and Bradley turns to the side and realizes that Linda had given him different shoes. And Bradley's like, I'm not going to have these shoes. No, like, he goes on and he gives Linda the shoes back and says, I'm not wearing these shoes. It's like, well, I guess you're just going to suffer then. So here's where Bradley starts to chime in while being able to, again, do nothing. He starts to chime into Linda about all the things that she should actually be doing. Bradley tells Linda that maybe she should go on and maybe out of like items from the forest make an SOS sign or have a sign that says help. Then he goes on and he tells her, hey, maybe you should take that fire and make some kind of smoke screen signal that maybe some people can see. And further and further, Bradley starts chiming into Linda, like, well, hey, why aren't you doing any number of things that are going to figure out ways to just get us out of here? Like, why aren't you doing all of those? And the more and more that Bradley is talking to Linda, Linda's like, what do you think that I've been doing this whole time? Like, what do you think that do you think I've just been doing nothing? Like, no, she's been doing the more key important things that actually do take quite a bit of time. Like, getting a way to figure out how to make drinks for them and how to figure out how to get food for them. Like, that's a difficult task. And he thinks it's just magic to be able to do all this stuff. And making fire is a difficult task. So, regardless of how much you were to probably see Linda do, all of this stuff is very difficult, as well as also Linda is still also recovering, like Bradley, from a plane crash. So I'm sure there's parts of her body that are really having a tough time adjusting to this new environment. Because who knows how hurt she is. But it doesn't seem like it. So the more and more Bradley is chiming away, and really just making it seem like Linda is not doing enough. And Linda is looking at Bradley. It's like, well, hey, you're not the boss of me here. This is not back to where we are. So Linda wants to prove to Bradley how important she is to him by disappearing and walking away, taking her stuff and trudging on. So Bradley realizes, like, well, hey, I'm hurt. She's not going to go on and just leave me, right? Like, she's going to come back. Oh, yeah, she'll come back. Yeah, she's definitely going to come back so she can assist me and help me. And I need my drink and I need my food and I mean, yeah. Linda leaves and is gone for days on end. Where Bradley, every time there's a thing that's passing, Bradley is like, oh, she'll come back. And then he's like, okay, starting to get a little ticked off now that she's not here yet. Okay, now I'm really... And like the further and further we start to see more and more days pass. And now Bradley, his lips are white. And his face is tan as death. And we find that as the weather starts to get chaotic and wind is picked up, all of a sudden now Bradley's shelter that's on top of him is now all over the ground. And Bradley is now just sifting in the sun. And he has again been with no water, and his face is just almost like pale, regardless of his tan. So Linda finally goes on and finally makes her way back and has this spear with her. Because again, this girl has been planning away all these kind of things to just strategically just continue to survive without her being in the place that she had built so many things, fire and all these kind of other things, because she doesn't need it. Because she doesn't need Bradley. So, and she doesn't need him chirping away. So, Linda comes with a spear and is now telling Bradley, hey, here's a thing of water, drink up. And then she tells him, hey, I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna kill a boar. And he's like, are you serious? Like, you know how dangerous those things are? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna kill him because we really need this food. And it'll be a better quality of food for us. So I'm gonna go and I'll kill it. Because I think I can figure it out. Bradley's like, okay, all right, well, so because Linda's been tracking this thing, so she thinks that she can get to it. And man, when she gets to it, man, is it a bloodbath. So Linda's going on and she's tracking these footprints, and then all of a sudden she starts to see some brush here and there, and starts to shift. Linda goes on and ends up getting the boar to kind of just fling in. The boar is CGI. It's horrible CGI, so we obviously know it's CGI. How many times can I say CGI? Linda gets taken down by this boar, the boar is coming for her. So what ends up happening here is Linda has to take this spear and figure out a number of ways to take this boar down. When the spear breaks, Linda has to go on and figure out a way to pull the spear back out, shove it back into the boar, continue to stab this thing until it finally effing dies. Linda even gets to a point where she is like jumping up in the air to throw this spear into this. Yeah, she's doing everything that is to have her maximum amount of weight thrusting into this thing so we can die, and it's not going down. This piglet is the Terminator. Anyways, so like this boar is as bad as the dog Cujo from that Stephen King movie. So that's how bad, that's how tough he is. So Linda is trying her best with blood coming everywhere to kill this thing, and she finally takes it down. She thrusts the head of this boar right at Bradley. All kinds of blood just goes smacking right into Bradley's face. And we then have Linda that turns to Bradley, and I gotta go laugh at this. Linda says, "Hey, have you ever hunted anything down? I think I like it." But also, I think we can also, with the way that things start to kind of play out at some point in this movie, maybe that's where things started to get a little bloodlusty and a little bit of tides are turning here. So they're cooking the boar, and Bradley and Linda are just having this like moment between the two of them because they have this laugh. And like this laugh isn't really like, oh, they're gonna be friends. Like they're just kind of just having this laugh because it's like, oh well, hey, you brought home the bacon. Oh yeah. Like, hey, you snorted, you're a pig now. You snorted when you laughed. You're a pig. You brought home the bacon. Like they're just kind of making a laugh here, and Bradley actually does laugh. So it's like, like Linda broke him a little bit. All right, so that kind of starts off like the relationship between one another. So Linda just goes off, and she never brings Bradley to this spot. Never in this film. Linda goes on, and she just finds this waterfall. And here's where all of a sudden Linda goes from this kind of like nerdy girl to all of a sudden, oh, she has this like really long hair and she's trying to look like a glamazon and like, ooh, like, all right. Like she's putting a flower in her hair, and like this is where she starts to change and she's more confident instead of like her body kind of like being like that. She's like this. It's like, oh, look at me now. Look at me now. So Linda has definitely well, even in the early stages I'm like Linda, then I'm like Linda. So yeah, let's get ooh yeah, a hot woman. So, and of course like Linda is getting like her body, so yeah, like it's basically equivalent of Hugh Jackman taking the barrel in Australia and thrusting over his body. That's what we're kind of seeing here. Yes, I saw Australia because I see everything most of the time. So Linda goes on and she makes her way to Bradley, and Bradley doesn't say like, "Hey, how did you get all wet?" No, nothing. So oh, okay. So here is where because I'm trying to figure out exactly what this scene is. Since Bradley can now just start to move, he goes on and he realizes that he wants some distance away from Linda. He goes on and he tells Linda like hey, like I'm not gonna have to rely on you. Like I can go on and do my own thing. And so Bradley goes on and gets this stick and just starts walking off, and Linda tells him, it's like, dude, I don't think you're strong enough to be able to really get around so soon. And Bradley just tells Linda, it's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna make my own shelter, and I'm gonna make mine better than yours, and like I'll show you that I don't need your help, blah blah blah. Like, also, there is this kind of like shift in dialogue throughout the movie also, where it's kind of like the thing that Bradley had told Linda earlier, Linda tells Bradley back to him. And I like those callbacks. I like the shift in, like, oh, well, I'm the dominant one here, so I'm going to give you the dominant speak from the shit you gave me before. Because, like, hey, man, like, you're not so high in the food chain anymore. So to, yeah, like, the status quo has changed here. So yeah, so Bradley goes on, and at first he tries to make this shelter, and he just ties these sticks together and takes this twine, and he realizes, oh, it falls over. It's like, oh, fuck. Like, well, I guess that's not gonna work out. So Bradley goes on, and he just starts taking all of these things together, and he tries to duplicate some of the stuff that Linda was doing, and he fails miserably at it. So everything that Bradley is doing here, he's kind of looking back at Linda as like, man, she has it so good over there, and like Linda is all to have all of a sudden quickly to have made this hammock and all these other things. Like, she's making a hat for herself, like she's like made a home for herself. Like, if anything, if she could have just opened up a 4-star restaurant just made out of twigs and berries and whatever, she probably could have within the next X number of minutes, because that's what it seems that is almost going on with Linda right here and now. So Linda is every once in a while just kind of peeking out at what Bradley's doing as far as dick worth of progress. So Linda going on in her bikini is to make her way back to eventually have all of her sushi that she's making, some high caliber sushi. And Bradley has gone on and made some progress by finding a roach or a bug of some kind. And I'm sure that roach or that bug will have tasted like cardboard, because I too have at one point tasted bugs and they tasted like cardboard and tasted like shit. So I know the disgusting taste. But I'm sure probably for that, though, it's to be a fake bug. So he probably had like chocolate or some other garbage, and not an actual bug. But yeah, I had a bug. I had a couple bugs. I had a scorpion, and I've had those things in the past. Whatever. It's a beetle. It was stuff that was already cooked. I got it in a, I got in a thing that was already to have been like pre-made by somebody that shipped them to me, and I ate them. They all tasted gross and like cardboard. But whatever. Like, it was just something weird to try. So Bradley makes his way finally to realize how much of a failure he is. But he didn't really try that hard. Well, Bradley doesn't have the knowledge, so yeah, like, how long was he really gonna last? Plus, also, Bradley could have just stayed in a cave, if anything, and could have worked it out that way. But again, like, how long just for your body could you really take just being in a cave? Well, if you made like sand for a bed, maybe it could last a good long while, but that's, again, that's not really saying much. So Bradley finally gives in and makes his way back to Linda, apologizing to her and looking at all the sushi, and he's like, oh my god, the sushi, ah. And Linda's like, oh, you got something in your teeth there. And he like pulls out this bug leg, and then like, ah. So Bradley goes on, and he apologizes to her, and he tries to seemingly be as sincere as he could possibly be. Linda says, "Hey, like you're looking at this sushi, like how badly do you want it?" And he's like, "A much, uh, uh, like I would kill somebody over that." And then it's like, "Well, I hope you won't, because you'd have to kill me. I'm the only one here." So, but that is kind of a funny, like, kind of foreshadowing of what people really do for food. So Bradley goes on, and he all of a sudden notices that Linda has a knife on her, and he's like, "How do you have a knife on you?" And Linda says, "Oh, isn't that fascinating? Like, I just had to just brush up on the shore, like, just somehow randomly. I just found a knife. Wow, what a coincidence." So, the further and further that Linda is just licking her chops with this food and just not even finishing some of it because, like, she's like, "I have more. I have so much more." So, Bradley is like, "Hey, you didn't even finish that." Like that's how much Linda is just kind of really shoving it in this guy's face. Just how better prepared she is. So Bradley's like, "Hey, I'll do whatever you want. Like, I'll help you. Like, I'm strong enough now. Like, I can help you. Like, let's work together. Like, instead of just us being so separate. Like, whatever you want me to do, I'll help you." So Linda's like, "Okay, like we'll share all of the food that she made." And so Bradley just starts chowing down as much as he can because yeah, like Bradley is just looking at like, "Oh, this is mine." Oh. Yeah, just scarfing down on all Linda's food. So Bradley and Linda are to kind of be at the shelter, and so Bradley thinks he's strong enough that he wants to go on a walk. And then it's like, "Well, hey, I'll go on with you. If anything, like we'll go to this very specific kind of place, and I'll kind of I'll kind of help you like get through this." So they decide to basically go what is to be really on this like side of this cliff, which I am like, I'm sorry, this is just insane. Can't you just climb or walk around? Like, why are we really going so dangling off this cliff? Like, I don't care if it's a shortcut. I don't care if, like, that's the only, like, you could figure out some other way to go around than just straight up just going off this cliffside here that is just so dangerous. So, but this seems to be the only way to just kind of get around here because they go back to the same spot eventually again. So they're now on this cliffside and they're just looking around. And Linda shows Bradley these berries. And she tells him what berries are to be the ones that are dangerous. And she slaps the berries on her skin and says if the skin kind of looks unusual, then definitely don't eat it because there's something wrong with the berry. So, probably looking at any number of things of this movie, you can probably learn a number of things from this film. Uh, but if anything, also, any of this stuff you're probably not going to retain or figure out how the heck Linda did any of this stuff. With the exclusion of maybe just hunting down a boar, you could probably figure that out. But if anything. So, Riley ends up getting tired and then just kind of sits down for a bit because his leg is hurting. So Linda's like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine. You just take as much time as you want." And then all of a sudden, Linda is on this kind of edge of this cliff and she falls over, and Bradley is needing to be there to save her. And I'm like, "Oh my God, is Bradley going to save her? Is Bradley just going to let her go?" But this is kind of so early in their experience with one another that regardless of how Bradley could not like this one, like it's still life that he feels that he can save. So Bradley goes on and grabs Linda and saves her from her going off this cliff here. And then Linda ends up on top of Bradley. And it's like, woo, this is kind of an intimate moment. Because it feels like we're leading to that. So next scene here, we see Linda who brings in these bananas. And the bananas are green. And I'm like, okay, so the bananas aren't ripe yet. But I myself had plenty of times where a store would send us or would give us bananas, and they weren't yellow, they were green. So it's like, oh, okay, we'll wait till they ripe. But also, because we have stuff delivered, it's not because we're lazy. It's just it's the easiest way to just get groceries for us, just because of the way that we just the way that our lives are set up. Either way, it's still lazy, I'm sure, to a number of people, but whatever. So, I'm just being honest. So, and some of you may go on and do that same thing and be like, no, okay. Like, moving on. So, Linda goes on and takes these bananas and she burns them and then finds out that she can go on and take these bananas and just kind of make something out of them. As if they're going on and they're kind of consuming these bananas and they're taking the sugar out of them, or they're like the bananas kind of taste like sugar and the bananas are really interesting to eat. So that is a kind of an interesting tip. So burn your bananas so you can get like sugar out of them and it'd be a unique experience. And so next up, Linda tells Bradley that she is also to figure out some way to basically make prison alcohol. And Linda is asked Bradley, hey, do you want to get drunk? And he's like, hell yeah. So now they're at a fire and they've gotten drunk and they're sharing things about one another, I believe, is what is happening here. My apologies. I'm getting a little blah with hour and a half of talking, but I've talked for way longer, but still there's sometimes where I just kind of blah. My mouth kind of gets a little tongue tied. Or mouth tied. I don't know. Poor grammar. My apologies. So I think here is where they have the heart to heart, where Bradley talks about his parents and how he mostly had gotten brought up by his mother that was horrible to him. And Linda goes on and talks about her husband and how her husband was a drunk and how Linda was contemplating kind of leaving her husband very consistently for how poorly he was to her. And Linda eventually goes on to say at one point that her husband was searching for the keys one night, probably while he was drunk, or very much, well, he was very drunk, that's what Linda said. And instead of Linda hiding the keys from him, she finally just gave in and gave him the keys and let him go about his drive. And then, come to find out, Linda's husband died because of that. So, I think this is the moment where Linda turns to Bradley and is to quite question whether or not her leaving the island is really a thing that she wants to do. And probably in Bradley's mind, it's like, hey, I want to go back to my life. I'm a rich guy in my life. I'm like, I have a fiance. Like, I have a lot of things going for me. Like, I'm going to get off this island. But hey, You can do whatever you want. So the next day, Linda is just laying on the ground, wakes up, and all of a sudden sees Bradley. He's in the buff. We see his batucus, we see his rump maker, and he is by the ocean just washing himself off. Which, yeah, like salt water, just trying to get clean. Because yeah, like this guy, like he didn't have uh the uh the waterfall like Linda had, so he has to go on. He has to be in the butt nude naked. We don't see Twig and Berries, but we see Heine. So, hey, women, you're getting something out of this too. You're getting to see this guy's butt, I guess. So, if you guys, you girls out there, if you're butt people, then you're gonna get some cheeks here. Whatever. Moving on. So Linda and Bradley, like I think Bradley kind of briefly sees Linda, kind of check him out. Linda kind of just thrusts away, like, oh. So Bradley and Linda are having really poor weather conditions right now. It gets to a point the weather is so bad, all of a sudden, like trees are falling out of nowhere. Uh, Linda is like tackling Bradley out of the way to save him. And we're really getting these really very close calls. So both Linda and both Bradley make their way into this cave, and they're so cold and they're so wet. That all of a sudden they realize that they need body heat to keep warm. So I'm going to take a little bit of a pause here. All right, we're back. I just had to kind of give myself a little bit of a jump start again. I had to kind of give myself a little watermelon drink, and that really just helps out your system and really hydrates you, and really just kind of makes you feel really good. Especially when you take it the very early times when you start taking it, it's like, man, that like really impacts your body. It makes you get to just kind of like another level. So you guys never tried the like watermelon kind of drinks? I've kind of said in a video before, kind of stuff that I use for hydration and stuff like that. But I show in the video exactly what that is. But don't check it. You can check that video if you want, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm just saying that, just like, if anything, you probably also Google it and you can probably quickly figure it out anyways. So it's not an advertisement. It's just whatever. I'm just saying. So let's push on here. So here's where Bradley and Linda are just kind of, after kind of last night, they kind of hold together and they're kind of prepping for things. They're kind of setting up things kind of as their next stage of of still trying to survive. And I think Bradley, in the back of his mind, is still thinking about Linda and how much she was saying that she probably was not thinking of the end game of trying to get back to civilization, and that probably stuck in Bradley's mind. So, and Bradley before was trying to think to Linda about, like, well, hey, like, how about we come up with a raft? Like, how about we try to figure out a way out of here? How about we signal a smoke screen and try to figure out a way to get out of here? And I had gone on to 4 to see quite a bit of just survival shows of guys who really know how to be able to go into a wilderness and just make a easy home for themselves they're much more so for the long term, the long haul, than going on and trying to figure out a quick escape. Some people. So, and that kind of makes for like, hey, like this specific episode is like, well, hey, we're not going to be able to go on and get out of here so quickly because this guy is just like, hey, how much longer can I just make all these teas and all these other things? And the other guy is like, hey, we need to get out of here. Like, let's go on and let's try to like make a raft, get into a thing of water and try to seek out people so that we can escape this thing because that's the whole idea. So Bradley goes on and tells Linda, it's like, hey, you know what? How about this time you take a break from making food? And how about this time around, I make the food for you? And how about we just change it up? Because, like, you've been working hard so much lately. Like, I want to do something nice for you. I want to go on and make you food. And Linda's like, okay, yeah, that sounds nice. Hopefully, you're not going to do horrible things to my food or make me be poisoned and probably die and vomit all over you later on, right? So Bradley goes on and makes Linda food. And if I were Linda, I would question how well cooked any of this stuff is or anything. But it seems that Linda just takes the food and she starts eating. It's like, oh, all right. So Linda starts eating it, and yeah, she starts to get poisoned. I'm assuming that Bradley had put in a lot of berries or something in Linda's food, which started to make her very ill and very drugged and very dizzy and just starts to fall over. And she's starting to look at Bradley and he's very blurry. So, but here's the crazy thing. So Linda is drugged and she falls over, but she still has enough strength in her. That's how crazily strong Linda is. What she does next. So Linda falls over and she's lost control of her body. So Bradley goes on and he's grabbing this makeshift raft that he just chucked a bunch of pieces of wood together. And he has all these things on it. And he's thinking, like, yeah, like, I'm going to finally get out of here. And I'm just going to start riding these waves with this very small, almost like canoe sized, like, approach of a raft. So Bradley goes on to start to make his way with this raft, and immediately once he hits the very first wave, he's like, oh my god, this first wave, wow, was this like a piece of cake? So immediately Bradley turns to Linda and flips to the bird. It's like, you, Linda. And then he goes on and he continues to ride every wave. There's a reason why Linda told Bradley that trying to create some kind of raft is not the safest bet. Like, look at Tom Hanks. He had to go on and make an extremely huge raft just for him. And even that raft eventually took quite a bit of beating. And Tom Hanks luckily had a sail to be able to sail off of. So, yeah, he got very lucky. So, Bradley all of a sudden continues to start riding these waves. And these waves start to get bigger and they start to get curvier. So, Bradley continues to try to keep riding these waves. And right after the second wave, Bradley ends up getting hit with this wave so badly that his raft starts to come apart because he didn't tie it tightly enough. Because eventually Linda will tell him later, oh man, if I only would have told you to tie the raft together with a certain amount of knots, you probably would have had a better chance, but I just didn't tell you about those knots. Oh, I'm sorry. I hate to have kind of ruined your little strategy there. But anyways, so Bradley's raft starts to come apart, and the more and more Bradley now has this wave come at him, and there's nothing he can do. He gets consumed by the wave, so much so that he just starts dipping underwater. And Bradley is just going further and further deep into the water, and he all of a sudden sees somebody coming for him as his guardian angel, and he thinks that it's his wife with her wedding ring, and like, oh, I'm going to save you, my darling Bradley. And instead of it being Zuri that saves him, it's Linda. Linda pulls Bradley out of the water. She should have just let him drown. She should have let him die. Just how Bradley was going to leave Linda to die also by being poisoned. But she saves him. She saves him. So Linda saves him, and I think she also does CPR on him. And the whole entire time, she's barfing in his face just all of these. I think she's barfing on purpose so that way she can barf up everything that she gave him, or that he gave her, so that way she can try to fight off this poison. But also she's just barfing because she has to anyways, because she's so sick. Plus also saving his ass is making her sick also. So Linda is just barfing up a storm and CPRing this guy, trying to get him back to life. And she saves him, and luckily is to be able to kind of just take care of herself. And so the following day, Bradley has to again, like, kind of get his strength up from being in the water and almost drowning. So Linda's like, hey, I'll give you this little barbecue little stick here. Here you go. Just take that and get your strength up. Just, yeah, I hope you'll go on and like, hey, like, hey, what you did last night, like, whatever, hey, just eat this food and you'll be fine. So Bradley just starts eating this stuff off the stick, and some of the pieces look a little fishy, look a little octopi. So eventually Bradley all of a sudden from his mouth is sort of like I was kind of briefly ago until I got a little bit of refreshment. So we find out that Linda is to figure out a way to use octopus items to paralyze Bradley. Which I'm like, yeah, wow, okay. Do not with Linda. So Bradley is to now be paralyzed here. And so Linda is to basically tell Bradley that she is not a woman to be F with. And to not mistake her kindness for weakness. Because she is going to go on and take this knife. She whips off his pants, his underwear, and is saying, like, you know what? Like, in my family, like, when we have a problem with an animal, we think that the best course of action is to just chop off his dick, basically. So she's gonna go on and she's gonna castrate him, basically. She's gonna neuter him to teach him a lesson. So Linda goes down and she starts cutting away, and blood is flying. And Linda's like, oh, you're a bleeder. We got a bleeder here. We got a bleeder. So Bradley is just forced to watch this. He's crying. He's like, I'm gonna lose my dick. So the next thing we see after all this blood is that Linda raises near her head this rat. It's like, guess what? Like, I didn't go that far. So she chucks the rat away, and that's where she goes on. It's like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. It's like, yeah, do not F with Linda. Just wait to the third freaking act. You'll see how just crazy she gets. And Linda goes full on dark side by the end of the film. And I was like, wow. Like, I've seen Adams play some like evil characters, but man, this goes straight up Darth Vader. This goes straight up dark side. Wow. Like, I've seen Mean Girls and I've seen other stuff. I've seen like Family Stone where she's always like digging into like Sarah Jessica Parker's character. But man, Adams in this movie, the girl that plays Linda in this film, full dark side in this movie. Just the way she looks with all the blood by the end of the movie, wow. Severely evil. Super evil. So now after the paralyzing wears off, and Linda tells Bradley, it's like, hey, yeah, it'll wear off. And like she tells him everything to just kind of prepare him for what's going on. So that way, like, she kind of gives him a heads up. So we next see just Bradley just kind of working on some stuff. And Linda is looking at Bradley. Oh, you're back at it, huh? Like, how about you give me that big fat smile that I've seen you have before? Come on. Like, smile, be happy. And Bradley's just like, I want you dead. I want you dead. That's what he should have said, but he's like, I want you dead. That's what it was like under his breath, kind of. So Bradley sees that Linda just kind of drops the knife off to her side. Bradley's looking at the knife. It's like, So Linda goes on her own, kind of leaves and kind of does her own little project. All of a sudden, Linda notices that there's a boat coming. And she's like, oh my God. You would think that Linda would be like, hey, we're saved. Wow. Let me grab Bradley and the two of us can get out of here. No, Linda's the opposite. Linda goes on and looks at the boat and she's like, no, it's too soon. Like, I have to break him more. I have to have him rely on me more because Linda is still trying to figure out a way to Scrooge Bradley to make him a better, less douchebaggery guy that is going to be so grateful that Linda had saved him that in turn Bradley will go on and have Linda just like, whatever you want, I love you, ooh, smooches, like, you're the love of my life. And so, in everything that Linda could have ever hoped for, maybe. Because again, Linda is still thinking about that Christmas party. It's like, hey, maybe we had a thing, maybe. Like, maybe we could have been together. Maybe there could have been something here. So, Linda is to go on and think that, yeah, this is not the perfect time. Oh, also, there was a scene that I forgot about here. So, this is not been the first time that this has occurred either. Because there was another boat that has been looking around for the two of them. And Linda goes on to have seen it, and she doesn't tell Bradley about it at all. Because Linda just lets the boat pass because, again, she wants to more marinate with Bradley to try to make him a better man. So, but this time around, Linda is spotted. And Linda is spotted by Zuri. But let me kind of for those of you that have actually gone on to see this movie, let me kind of break the fourth wall here, or break the secret. So we'll find out later on in the film that the first boat that Linda was to have ever seen in this movie was to have not been just a thing that was looking for Linda and Bradley. That this boat was to go on and drop some things off nearby this island because there was to be this this getaway home that eventually Linda will have killed the guy that was in the house and just taken over his shit. And eventually that's where Linda finds the knife and brings it back with her, and also just takes a number of this guy's food and fruit and whatever, and just like shoves it all in her face, like and then just eats it all on her own. Because Bradley has no idea any of this stuff exists. So now back with Linda. So Linda has now killed once before. But now there's Zuri here. Now there's another guy that can possibly get them to escape off this island. It's a different situation here. So Linda is now at a point where she's questioning whether or not she should have Zuri and this other guy find Bradley. So Linda takes Zuri and this guy near this cliff edge. You guys remember the scene before where Linda is to have fallen off and Bradley used to save her? Foreshadowing here. So Linda goes on to say that she needs to tie her shoe. Zuri and other kind of tourist guy with the boat, he sees Zuri kind of fall off this cliff. He jumps for her, grabs her arm, is pulling her up. Now we have Guy and Zuri who are turning to Linda. Please help us, Linda. You need to help us. Like, we're falling. We're not strong enough. So Linda is now looking at the two of them and she's like, what should I do? What should I do? Kind of thing. And then we cut to Linda making her way back to Bradley. And we're like, wait a minute. None of this has been resolved of what she did. So we have to assume that this could be a number of things. That Linda could have imagined this and she's lost her mind. Because that's also a thing that could have been a thing that could have been interesting in my mind, that Linda could have gone crazy. And regardless of all the strategic things that she could have had, regardless of everything, of genius intellect and whatever, she could still go crazy on this island. She could have also finally snapped because of the humiliation that she had, and she could have had this experience driven her more into craziness. It could happen. You never know. Bradley is to have gone on and seemingly starting to become more and more Scrooge. So he's coming to be a much more nicer guy. So maybe that's because he's going crazy also. we can play all these into a factor here. So, but we'll find out what really happened to Zuri at some point here. So Bradley goes on and looks at Linda, and Linda is to be way less confident than she has been. And she kind of folds into herself, and she's kind of her old self again, but she's honestly kind of worse because even her old self was kind of a very kind of bubbly personality, at least. Linda has really caved in and is like, I'm just gonna go on and I'm just gonna sleep. I don't care what anybody wants to do. Bradley, if you want me to do something, I will say fuck off, and you go on and do whatever. I'm just gonna lay here and I'm gonna take some time off. I'm gonna take some time out. I'm freaking done. So Bradley goes on and says to Linda, it's like, well, hey, like, I want to go on and I want to hunt for another boar because we need more food. So you coming? Like, obviously, like, I'm going to need your help. Like, how about we go on and how about we try to get this thing? Because, yeah, like, we need more food. And Linda's like, no, she completely disconnected. She completely cut off herself. She's like, no, I'm going to lay here and that's all I give a fuck to do. I'm sorry about so much cussing. I don't, whatever. So, Bradley looks at the knife. So, I think Bradley does go on and try to find the boar, but when he does spot it, eventually the boar just runs away and he's like, I didn't catch it. So, Linda, this is late at night. I'm assuming this is a dream of some kind, or again, she's lost her effing mind. So, Linda has this torch, and it's very dark out, and all of a sudden there's this zombie like thing coming from the shore, coming from the water. And immediately this kind of reminded me of the video game The Forest, where you have the plane crash and you have the people trying to survive, and there's the alien that grabs the sun, or whatever that goofy thing is that grabs the sun and takes it, and then the people have to figure out what is going on and try to survive on this island. And from time to time, like Son of Forest or whatever the heck the other sequels are, you have to just kind of figure out how to survive. So this kind of moment kind of reminded me of that video game, The Forest. So we're wrapping in a bunch of stuff, even video game stuff in this movie. So we come to find that this zombie-like thing is none other than Zuri herself haunting Linda from the grave, telling Linda how could she killed her. And so Zuri is telling Linda that she'll tell Bradley what she did, and so on. And so Zuri is scaring Linda, and then eventually there's to be this zombie thing that appears behind Linda to try and scare us, I guess, but it doesn't really work. For me specifically. So Linda again has lost her effing mind. It's okay, Linda, it's okay. Oh, here's the Bradley scene where we go on and he tries to find the boar and it runs away. He's like, "Fuh!" So, but shortly thereafter this, here's where Bradley goes on and finds a hand coming out of the dirt. Yeah. We'll come to find that Zuri had died, had really been killed by Linda. Sadly enough, R.I.P. Zuri. So, we'll find out that Zuri did fall after Linda had grabbed this rock and chucked it onto the guy, and both of them had fell simultaneously and died. And then Linda had just covered it up. Because that's what really happened, and that sucked. I'm like, oh man, like, couldn't we have just said that they fell by accident, and couldn't we have gone on and just figured out a way for Linda to not be the bad guy until the very end? Like, we really could have changed this movie quite a bit, and we honestly could have still had Linda blame Bradley for a lot of stuff of why she is to be this bad guy now. And I wonder if there is a cut of this movie that is that way. That maybe there is a chance that, honestly, you, the viewer, could probably edit this movie in a very certain fashion to do this in movie where you could have an opportunity, a chance on a Blu-ray or DVD to have a different cut of this film. To be like, hey, no, I want Linda to still be the good guy in the end, or no, I want the theatrical thing in the end, or no, I want this in the end. Like, I want this cut. I want like, it would be interesting to see if there are alternate endings or alternate things of this movie that you could choose how you want to see the film. But then again, I think that does go on and probably ruin the film if you know how it ends. So, like, if they tell you exactly, hey, this is the alternate cut, or this is the Linda cut. I don't know. That would be cool if stuff like that exists. But anyways, Bradley finds Zuri's hand and kisses it and realizes, because of the ring, it's obviously his wife. So Bradley takes the ring and he is now angry. He's foaming at the mouth, frothing at the mouth. And immediately he just thinks that Linda has something to do with this. How, like, what if, like, again, what if Zuri just made her way to the island and tripped and fell on a rock one day to get to Bradley, and Linda had nothing to do with it? Well, I guess Zuri wouldn't have been buried now, wouldn't she have? That wouldn't have made a lot of sense. But then again, we could have edited this to where Linda could have just, hey, how did these guys just trip and fall and whatever? Yeah, like, there's so much editing could have gone on here to make a completely different ending. So Bradley goes on and confronts Linda by the shore and immediately starts talking about Linda knows exactly what he's, as if Bradley starts talking as if Linda knows exactly what he's talking about, and she doesn't. She's kind of caught oblivious. And then immediately when Bradley thrusts the ring in Linda's distant face, Linda's like, oh, your wife that I killed. Oh, yeah, that thing. Oh. So I think Linda does try to cut it off as like, well, hey, yeah, I did go on and I did bring them with me. They did find me, and then they fell accident. And yeah, Bradley's just not buying it. So Bradley has a knife. Linda, Bradley running off in the woods. And what happens here is Linda's in the brush. Bradley is to think that Linda's behind this tree. He goes to throw the knife. Linda is all of a sudden gone, and her shoes are there. And her laces are not there also. Huh, what the heck is that? Linda comes out of the woodwork and grabs Bradley's neck with his laces and starts choking him. Like, wow, what a smart strategy. Because, yeah, those laces are pretty strong. Maybe not, of course, piano wire strong that would immediately just... No, but shoelaces are pretty strong. Plus, also, Linda is probably pretty strong, too. She's beefed up since coming to this island. So, Linda is choking Bradley, and Bradley is not swinging this knife wildly to, like, stab Linda in the back or nothing. He's just like, like, I'm choking. So, like, Bradley is very disoriented here, obviously. So, Bradley figures out a way to get Linda off him, pushing her to the ground, and now is choking her. Here's where it gets really vicious. So Bradley goes on and he takes his like finger and he starts driving it into Linda's eye. And I'm like, oh my god, this is gross. And it's like, yeah, just drive that finger or whatever, just more into that eye. And I'm like, ugh. But luckily somehow that finger had gotten out of also Linda's eye socket. Just good God. So Linda at this point, survival of the fittest. She is biting Bradley's neck. She is biting Bradley's hand, figuring out some way to create some distance here. So Linda does the most vicious thing, and she bites off, or she bites a good part of Bradley's finger to where he now loses his engagement ring, and it's in Linda's mouth. And Linda takes the ring, shows it with her teeth, and then she swallows the ring. It's like, you, Bradley. And she's like, ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm like, wow. Also, like, I remember the movie or the show, the thing where the two characters have beef against one another, uh, and like the one guy just goes into the girl's bathroom and just pees all over the bathroom, and like further and further they just create so much havoc for one another. It just goes crazy. And I think the show was like beef or something, beef up or beef and beef whatever. And the guy who was like Glenn from The Walking Dead, he was in that show. So beef something, beef it. I have no idea. Let me know in the comments below exactly what that show is, because I'm sure people probably Googled it and I couldn't have been bothered because it just popped in there. So Linda is now running through the woods, and so Linda is making her way to the X because Linda had told Bradley before, hey, that X, never go there. If anything, there's some poison ivy, there's all kinds of things. Like it'll kill you there, it'll hurt you to go there, just don't go there. And Bradley listens. So Linda makes her way to the X and Bradley follows. Bradley continues his way to eventually follow Linda and finds out that the X was none other than this whole mansion just on the side of this island, and there's nothing else there. This mansion guy, he ends up getting all these boats just shipping food and crap to him just nonstop, it seems. And that's how this guy just continues to just live his days. Yeah, this guy just has nothing better to do. But also, like Johnny Depp and I think Gene Simmons, Johnny Depp does own an island. I don't know why he owns one, but he owns one nonetheless. Gene Simmons, I think, does own an island or has an island named after him or something like that. I think he was forced to own an island, something like some kind of story like that. So it would have been funny if we had like Johnny Depp or somebody that legitimately does own an island be like the extra here that ends up getting killed by Linda. That would have been funny. So we have Bradley making his way through the house, opening up the screen door, making his way to the kitchen to open up this refrigerator to drink this cold water. And he's feeling so refreshed. He's like, oh my God, water. He's just finding every bit of like just stuff that he can just kind of take a minute. And so while Bradley is going to this refrigerator, Linda's on the intercom talking to him, and Bradley notices the camera. It's like, like you're watching me. So Linda's like, "Oh yeah, it must be nice to feel refreshed, right? Nothing feels better than a cold beverage, right?" So Bradley notices the camera and breaks the camera quickly, so Linda is now watching him. So now we see Linda, and she's like, face just bloody, dark side coming in at you. So here's the reveal of how bad the tables have turned. Metaphorically, just in a weird, have to, like, here's where the twist comes in. And I've kind of explained all this, so there's not much to explain here. So here's the part where Linda goes on and sees the guys bring in with the boats and make their way to this pier to see this rich guy with this mansion. And so Linda is to go on and find the guy with the mansion, disable his security, and then come to kill him. And Linda says how easy it was to have accomplished that. Lynn had also gone on to see the delivery guys like just put in this passcode, and yeah, she figured it out quite easily. Linda goes in the house, starts cutting up food, and just has at it. So Linda goes on and reflects on the time that she had with Bradley, the time they were laughing by the fire. And then next she goes on and she shows us what she did by killing both Zuri and the boat guy. And they both fell off the ledge. So Linda kind of confesses and explains everything here. So now we have Bradley, and he's continuing to make his way through the house. And Linda does corner him with this shotgun, and now Bradley is basically just begging for his life. Telling anything Linda honestly just wants to hear. He's honestly just telling her, like, hey, yeah, you're right. Maybe we should stay on this island. Maybe we should go on and just live here for the rest of our lives. And, like, you know what? I do love you. And Linda's like, I love you too. And, like, further and further, Bradley's like, yeah, you've changed me. I'm a changed man now. I'm really starting to feel it. This moment, I'm starting to feel like a different man. You've done this to me, Linda. You've changed me. You've scrooged me. He doesn't say that, but I wish he would have. So, Bradley is saying every single thing in hopes that Linda is going to put the shotgun down. And they hug and embrace. And Linda is going to buy into every second of this. But then, all of a sudden, Linda notices that there's two helmets that are missing some horns. And she's like, yeah, I think he has a weapon on his back. He's pulling the Bruce Willis taped gun on his back. Distract the villain by talking while I have this weapon that I'm going to come at him with and take him out. So Bradley does try to get away the shotgun and try to go after Linda with these horns. He of course fails miserably, and eventually Linda is to have lost the shotgun, and Bradley now has the shotgun. He shoots the shotgun. There is no shells. Oh, no bullets! Die Hard again. So, and the safety isn't on either. So, well, I guess he didn't try to see if the safety was on. But either way, oh, no bullets! Because there wasn't any. So, Linda was never going to fire at him anyways. Because she didn't have any bullets in the shotgun. So, Linda goes on to find a putter. I'm not good with golf, so she finds this. She finds this putter. She finds this thing, uh, golfing stick thingy. I don't know. Uh, Again, what do I don't know about golf. I've played golf, but really that was just me smacking the ball as viciously hard as I could because it was more muscle than strategic. Like I was just smacking the out of the ball, and I was actually. I would probably say that I was. I have no idea how really well I was doing. Like my dad was kind of telling me it's like, man, like my son was really like smacking the ball. He was really doing some like Tiger Woods bullshit, and like I don't know about that, man. I'm probably just horrible at golf. Plus also like I probably have nowhere near the strength I once had. So yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna be just god awful at that sport. Because I would just be smacking the balls for strength rather than any kind of real rhyme or reason of strategy. Or I have no clue what any of those kind of 9-iron, whatever kind of things are, or what best they're used. I have no idea. So, anyways, if anything, I was just kind of shifting from like a certain number of clubs every once in a while, like 2 or 3 different clubs. I was kind of just shifting between because I was like, dude, I'm going for power. I like that's all I got. So, and luckily I didn't have no wicked curve or anything like that. Like I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take the ball. It's probably gonna go there. So I kind of Babe Ruth like called my shot in my brain to like, okay, I'm thinking it's gonna go there, and woof, it would just go there. I'm like, luckily. So talked about golf. Maybe like maybe I'm just blabbing right now because I'm like, man, I'm under 3 hours. I'm under 3 hours for once. Anyways, so because this is almost at the end of the movie, anyways, so we're almost wrapping up here. I'm sorry how long this took because I know this movie's only like an hour and 40 minutes. So Linda goes on and takes the club. Oh my god, I could have just called it the golf club. So Linda takes the golf club, thank God, and she takes out Bradley with the golf club viciously, just bah, bah, and beats him to death with it and kills him. The thing we see after that is we see Linda, who is to have made her way back to society. So Linda went back. Linda went back. So we come to find that Linda is to have been written off as a sole survivor of this plane crash, and that Linda is living the high life as to have gone on and played golf. Because, interestingly enough, or ironically enough, Bradley at the very beginning of this movie, Bradley was telling Linda, hey, like, yeah, you gotta go on and, like, you gotta be a people person, and you gotta do things like, you gotta play golf. And Linda's like, golf? Like, are you with me? And then Bradley goes on and just loses his complete attention with Linda and just starts golfing. He's like, yeah, I should just start golfing because I don't give about her. So he just starts golfing. And that was the whole kind of conversation there. That's why he just got distracted. It's like, oh, yeah, I should be golfing right now. I should be working on my putter because I'm a dick. So we push on here. So Linda is now on the golf course. She's smacking this ball, probably Happy Gilmore style. I don't know. If you got Happy Gilmore just got a sequel. Probably people could probably know who that guy is. Adam Sandler, smacking the ball like a boss. Anyways, so Linda is smacking the out of the ball, and so the interviewer makes her way to Linda, and The interviewer is going on and saying that she is to have gone on to have been the sole survivor of that plane crash, that Linda is going on and making a book about her whole experience. I'm sure she's going to leave a number of things out, right? Not killing Bradley and a number of other people, right? I'm sure she's going to leave all of that out. So, the one thing that does kind of stick with me, though, is what Linda is to say at the end, that no help is coming, so if anything, you need to kind of save yourself. And that is probably going to be the one thing that is probably going to stick with me more so than anything, because, like, there's sometimes when, yeah, like, even looking at YouTube, it's like you want to, like, hope that there's going to be somebody that comes in one day and just shares in this experience with you. And you hope that you're going to go on and meet people and just kind of have a rapport and all these kind of stuff. Like, you hope all that stuff happens. And, like, you hope that you in some way will kind of just be saved by people who want to be just like-minded people like yourself. But also, there are times in my life where I would just kind of think, like, well, hey, if this one thing could happen, if I could just do this, if I could just have this like, then if just this one simple thing occurred, like, man, would that have drastically changed my life for the better? But you can't just hope for that one thing to magically happen, because it probably never will. You're just holding on to hope. You're just having this pipe dream. And maybe for me, just doing this might just be a pipe dream. But for me, I really want to do this just so that way I could be a much I could be in a much more happier place. I could be in a much more better place than where I was when I wasn't doing this. And yeah, there's some times where there still is that mental health struggle. Believe me, there still is. Those days where I'm just like, man, this is my life. This is still my life. Like, we're still here. We're still at this point, we're still struggling. Every day is a fight. But also, every day also is a gift. That it's like, hey, I can still do this today. Hey, I can still, like, this equipment is still working today. I'm still somehow having enough, like, my body is functionally working today. Like, I have the faculties of brain function and my eyes aren't hurting today. Luckily, like, I put ice packs on them earlier, and now, like, they aren't hurting as badly. I can watch this movie without having any kind of pain in my eyes, and not have to close one of my eyes just to kind of, like, function throughout the day. That's nice. Great. So I want to say that I'm grateful, but I also want to say that I should also be working harder to earn to earn I don't know how I could be working harder, but I should be doing different videos. I should be doing kind of what I was doing with the comic book stuff and the movies and the movie physical media stuff. Like, it seems that people were really interested in those videos. People actually watched a lot of those videos. People cared about them, and people liked them. People liked videos. Great. Uh, like that tells me that I should have I should have been taking this day to do a lot more of those, and I will in the future. Whatever I have left of comic books, whatever I have left of physical media, I'm going to keep trying to do those because people like those. So, but let's wrap this up so I can get this uploaded and also people can realize, oh my god, he got under 3 hours. Think whoever. Yeah. So sorry for how long these videos are. Also, for people who complain, yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say something. No, let's just try to let's try to be positive. Let's try to be grateful. So, so at the end of this, we have Linda, and after her golfing day is over, she's driving off and she's listening to the Blondie song, and she has the bird in the back of her seat, and she's looking at the cameras like, yeah, yeah, I got away with it. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Yeah, I freaking did. Like, she didn't say any of this, but she's saying it with her eyes. She's like, yeah, yeah, I got away with it. And guess what? You're next. And then the title screen goes on, and then credits roll. I don't know if there is like an end credit scene, but like this kind of got cut off, and so I have no idea if there is an end credit scene. It would be interesting if there is. So more than likely, if people had seen this whole movie, comment below if there was an end credit scene because I didn't see it. If anything, when they go on and they do the whatever theatrical thing at home, the movie thing at home, then maybe I'll go on and I'll maybe find out from somebody if this did have an end credit scene, or because I've had some people tell me about an end credit scene, like, oh, I didn't know this movie had one. I didn't think about that because I thought the movie was just this one-off thing. But then I would find out from people who just randomly found my review of some movie that I was like, hey, I actually liked that film. It's good that somebody found that. And somebody told me about the end credit scene. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know there was one. Like, I just don't think that a lot of these movies, like, I just didn't think there'd be an end credit thing. But I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done my homework. Or I don't know. Like, there's sometimes where people will go on and tell me some information, and then I kind of look back or I kind of watch the movie again, just kind of randomly. It's off in the like somebody else in my home is like watching the movie, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like I'd watched this movie once, and then I'll just kind of watch the movie again, like like yeah, I effed up there, I messed up that scene, and it kind of does kind of ruin if ever there is to be a casual moment of me just kind of watching something in the background because I know I messed up on like 2 to 4 scenes, and that which is like just sticks in my mind to make me just like, man, I should maybe just go back over a lot of these reviews, but why waste that time? If anything, the feeling of the movie is probably not going to be maybe drastically different, maybe for some superhero stuff, but I don't want to just be trying to like also try to uh, just redo videos just to squeeze another penny out of something. Even though technically I won't even be getting a penny, but still, like I'm not trying to just squeeze. Probably it's the better term. I'm not just trying to re-squeeze views out of something. Like unless I've drastically changed to a different channel, which that happened, um, to do more exclusive content. But yeah, I didn't think about I didn't really think about um, any of the repercussions of, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to redo these videos again. I didn't think about that. So that some people like did say it's like, oh yeah, you reviewed this at some point before on this other channel. I'm like, well yeah, but this is a whole different channel now. Oh well, yeah, but you did this other. It, it doesn't matter. This is a whole new channel. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but yeah, I just recycled some of those videos and they were over here. Like I definitely, I think when I did the intro of this channel originally, I explained that, but now it's just like, okay, this channel has just existed for so long that I don't think it really matters, and it really doesn't, because people still find this stuff anyways. So hopefully you'll find this video, or probably just watch the first 20 seconds of it, which is completely fine. But I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for watching this video, however long to hear my voice for X number of minutos. So thank you. I hope I continue to do the best I can. I didn't even talk of anything about future reviews within this one because I didn't really, in my mind, have anything planned that I probably haven't said in a billion other things. I'm kind of planning on doing. This is too late in the video, so it doesn't really matter. It was kind of tempting to me to watch the movie because I watched the movie Roof Man. I was kind of tempted to just kind of briefly talk about that movie in some video and then just put it out there. Even though I'm sure the movie has been out for quite a while and who's going to care, like I just wanted to just do like I've been kind of tempted to just like if I see something, if I commit to fully seeing something, regardless of when it was released or whatever, like I'm kind of tempted to just put a brief video out there just to get it out, just so that way I have just another extra bit of content out there. Plus, it's kind of like, hey, if I see it, I might as well talk about it. And so there could be some more casual reviews going on in the future. But it's not going to be something that I'm going to go out of my way to adamantly, like, oh, I'm going to purposely rewatch something, do it on the review. Just like, because there were some people that were going on and they were asking, it's like, well, hey, like, I would like this review and I would like it to be shorter. Like, yeah, that's also a thing that I'm sure everybody wants. But uh, like I think that I've kind of done a preamble that is to be in the first 10 to 30 minutes to be like, okay, that is kind of everything I thought about the movie, and after that I'm just basically scene for scene the whole movie, and every once in a while I'll kind of stop and kind of pause and have my thoughts. Uh but I get it. That but here's also the thing. Uh I noticed on longer movies or longer movies, on longer videos, people do have the instant comments, a comment of, "Hey, this video was length." I noticed that a lot. Yeah, that's a negative thing, but it's still a comment. That's the knee jerk thing that everyone says. So, also, I would go on to see like people that I know this is different. It's video games. Like I know people would have like 4-hour live streams, but that's different. That's a video game. Uh, it's a lot different than just somebody like it's still somebody talking for 4 hours or it's talking for multiple hours, but it's like a movie. It's a show. This is a video game. It has a auditory visual thing. For me, I can't go on and I can't take a movie and for me specifically do an audio visual thing because eventually I'd be copyrighted, I'd be claimed, and then eventually, what is the point of this channel? Um, but again, like that would probably still be something that I'm sure a number of people want. and this channel would not last very long. It wouldn't. Because I would not want to take that effort to do that kind of stuff. Because I have tried to edit a number of things, and it takes a very long time for just the devices I have. But maybe at some point, if I had a much more, but I just would not ever take the risk. Like, even putting up a picture like this could be risky because any picture could be copyrighted claimed. Um, so feasibly, that's at one point where I'd go on and do these like black and white photos when I early started this, where I do the pictures that are kind of a little shifted and a little changed and whatever, because so it doesn't look like the original. Yeah, I'm getting lost in the weeds here. So I'm being very honest. I hope people can understand that. Um, People could probably say that immediately when it's like, oh well, yeah, like the knee jerk comment thing of that everyone just says, hey, the videos are too long, and like, oh, so that's why you're doing it. No, I was going to do this regardless. Like, it's always been the way I've done it. I've tried to never change, except for the longer that the videos went. Um, but that's just the way I talk. That's the way I prattle on, and I go through 200 tangents, and I realize that. Um, I have a problem with not being able to edit myself, so or stopping myself either when I put my foot too far in my mouth. So that's my mistake. So that's why I'm here. Um, and then I just saw the pattern that arises with like people continuing to comment that kind of thing, which I'm like, okay, um, like if people see every single video that I've ever done, because I feel there's a lot of people that probably just come in here randomly and they probably just find the one video and not all the others, and yeah, so they're probably not connecting with the channel. They're probably not also going to subscribe to it either, but I wish people did because it would help me. But uh, but there's a lot of people that have already subscribed. Again, I'm grateful. There seems to be people that continue to subscribe, even though I don't put out content every single day. But or I probably don't put content up as consistently as I should have. But I'll try to be better, or at least I'll try to keep figuring out what my next best step is. Which my next thought was to try and do some Star Trek content because I have a Star Trek shirt now, so I'm like, okay, that seems to be the next pivot to go into. But like this new release came up today, I'm sure something else will come up tomorrow, as well as also whatever hits really wild, weirdly big upon this channel will probably force me into an incentive of like, yeah, I should probably go on and review more of the XYZ thing because this one video just bizarrely did well because of probably the thumbnail and probably not because of oh yeah, like this video is really bouncing, is no, it was probably just the thumbnail. It probably wasn't actually the content. So immediately once somebody clicked in the content because they were, ooh, what is this? And then immediately like, oh, so they clicked off. Or maybe they watched a good chunk of it and then clicked off. But either way, I appreciate anybody taking the time to do anything. So thank you for investing in this. Thank you for being a person and a human being like I am. And taking your time to do anything for this channel because I'm to hope to return that favor by continuing to do things here, hopefully. So, thank you and goodbye. Bye, everybody.